Welcome everybody to the Future of Effective AP Instruction, introducing UWorld's new courses for AP. My name is Philip Bates. Thank you so much for joining us today. I am the Director of College Readiness here at UWorld. I am very fortunate. I work with a group of fantastic former and current AP teachers, and we build what we think are the most high quality, fantastic instructional materials to support AP instruction, support teachers, support students, and of course, support teacher leaders. So we're going to dive right into the presentation, but a couple of really quick things. First off, I love questions. So if you've got a question at any point during the webinar, I would love to see that question at the end, and I will do my very best to answer that question. So feel free, if you've got other things on your mind, if you've got questions about AP, even not about the webinar, or even suggestions about future webinars, that would be great as well. Thanks for joining live. If you're watching a recorded version of this, that's excellent too. Please know that we are going to push out the recorded version. So you will have a copy of this. You're welcome to share it with some coworkers and get that out, get the word out for everybody. That'd be fantastic. So let's jump into the agenda, our talking points for today. We're going to start with common AP challenges. I think you're going to see a list that does not surprise you. You may even be able to add to that list. So we'll talk about common AP challenges first. And then we're going to talk about how UWorld's AP courses are going to support instruction, daily instruction for an AP teacher. And we'll actually walk through a day in the life of an AP teacher using those resources. We'll talk a little bit about data reporting. Everybody loves data and reporting. Talk a little bit about that. And then I'll do some key takeaways for everybody, and we'll kind of wrap everything up and hopefully answer some questions. So we'll talk about common AP challenges. Like I said, many of these are not going to surprise you. You probably could add to this list. Quality, up-to-date AP resources. If you know anything about the College Board, you know that they are really good about gradually or sometimes quickly changing content, changing the test, moving units around, pulling units out, all sorts of things. So it's difficult. It's very challenging actually for teachers to have up-to-date AP resources they can trust, high quality resources. And with College Board making changes, oftentimes resources they do have become out of date quickly. Consistent and effective instruction. You know, this comes from ultimately the teacher wanting to make sure they're providing everything they can for students. And if the resources they're using, if they can't trust those resources, or if they're grabbing resources from a bunch of different places, it's very difficult to ensure consistent and effective instruction. Support for new and experienced teachers. We have so many awesome new teachers join the profession every single year. It seems like right now we've got an exorbitant amount of new teachers stepping into our classrooms. And if you are a brand new AP teacher, that makes it really hard. So I think a lot of times new teachers struggle to know exactly what to do, what to grab resource-wise, how to go about teaching, that sort of thing. And also for experienced teachers, if you've been teaching for a bunch of years and you've been grabbing resources, your whole career, that's a tough thing. And I know, experienced teachers, you want to every year bring your very best for your students, and that can become very challenging if you don't have the right resources and you've got to go out and look for them year after year. Data on student performance. We all know, when is AP testing? AP testing is May. We all know that it's hard to know how our students are going to perform on those May AP tests. During the school year, if we don't have these really great common unit assessments, if we don't have a way to gauge what our students are learning, that data that we get then in July on the AP passing, that might not line up. It also impacts grading, which we'll talk about as well. Because right now we're seeing a lot of teachers struggle because they're giving students grades that don't end up aligning with their actual AP scores. So that's a big challenge in the AP world. And then enrollment, retention, passing scores. These have always been a challenge for AP teachers, and they're even more so now. So we're having lots of issues with students coming to AP classes. They've got instructional gaps. Maybe that motivation's not there, so they might join that AP class and they don't find success early and they want to get out in October. That's tough, man. You've got your AP students that start the year. You want to hold on to those students throughout the year, and you want to make sure you've got the content and the materials to bring up those students, to fill in those gaps, that sort of thing. And then, of course, passing scores on AP exams. We're very stagnant. College Board will tell you that. AP scores have not really gone up in the past. So let's actually dive into a day in the life of AP teacher. I will start by saying that all of these UWorld resources that make up our AP courses are in this wonderful, nice package. And we provide this incredible scope and sequence that is easy to read, it's comprehensive, and ultimately that scope and sequence gives teachers a really nice recommendation on when to push out content and what content to push out. We're going to start with, we're going to talk about a flipped classroom model. There is a ton of different instructional models out there. We're just going to use the flipped classroom model. It's really popular. Teachers really like it. Students like it. So that's what model we're going to use today. And we're going to start in the day of a life of a teacher. So this would be the night before, and a teacher would push out what we like to call an interactive study guide. So my wonderful AP experienced teachers, veterans, former AP teachers, and even current AP teachers, we have built these interactive study guides. Think of it like an ebook, but it's interactive, really easy to read, and we've made sure and organized it by unit and topic. It's comprehensive, so everything a student needs to learn in that course is in these study guides. And ultimately, all the stuff they don't need is not in the study guides. It's very straightforward and concise. We are really, really student-centered. And ultimately, we don't want to push out anything that students would have a hard time reading. And we wrote things in student-friendly language, specifically these interactive study guides. And they're there in order to support student learning. And if they come with gaps, if they come with some struggles, these interactive study guides are a really nice way to fill in those gaps. We have hyperlinks within these study guides. We have definition banks, so it provides some resources to help those students. Lots and lots of visuals. We are really big into visual learning and supporting, students in that way. And we find that when we pair really well-written text with really fantastic images, it not only helps understanding, but it really supports retention. In these study guides, after a student reads through a study guide, they have an opportunity to do some check for understanding questions. And like I said, teacher would push this out the night before. So the next day, they would do a lesson on, an introduction to ecosystems. This happens to be an AP environmental science study guide. So it'd be for the AP environmental science course. And once a student has finished reading through and walking through the interactive study guide, they'll have some check for understanding questions at the end. Guys, these check for understanding questions are at that foundational level. They are not at that AP level yet, because students aren't at that AP level yet. So we provide these check for understandings, these foundational questions to make sure that students have, read the interactive study guide, they've absorbed that, and then they can apply that knowledge to these check for understanding questions. It gives teachers a report, so that students would have this the night before, they would complete those check for understanding questions, and it would generate a report for teachers, so the next day in class, they know what they need to cover, what they need to emphasize, where the gaps in learning might be. So students are now in class. It is the next day, and in order to get those minds going, in order to activate everybody's thinking, we've got polling questions for teachers to use. This happens to be an AP Bio question, and this AP Bio question could be might be serving as a bell ringer. So students come in, we pull up this question, and the whole class has an opportunity to read through the question and select an answer choice. Teachers get immediate feedback on what a student selected, and they're able to kind of decipher, okay, let's understand what that student knows. So this is a little bit of front loading, a little bit of formative assessment to find out what students need, and then go right into the lesson. Oftentimes, teachers use a lecture style. And so what we provide at UWorld in our AP courses, we provide pre-built these beautiful PowerPoint presentations that all teacher has to do is download these PowerPoint presentations. They can add slides, they can delete slides, they can tweak them as they feel fit, or they can just roll with that PowerPoint. What that PowerPoint includes is teacher notes. So the important aspects of those PowerPoints, We have teacher notes built into that. So a teacher, maybe it's a brand new AP teacher who needs that support, who needs that maybe some direction, some help, or that experienced teacher that wants to walk through those teacher notes, kind of see what my team's put together and adapt their notes from there. So these PowerPoints are fantastic ways to provide direct instruction in that lecture format. You could also take that PowerPoint and push it out to students. If that student is absent, they of course could get this PowerPoint. Maybe they weren't a part of that lecture, but they can still be a part of that lesson because they've got this instruction. A really popular trend, I love it, is guided notes. You're probably aware of guided notes. You may be using them in your classroom right now. You may be supporting teachers that use guided notes. Guided notes is a wonderful way for students to interact with the teacher and have something at the end of that lesson. So we've built guided notes for every single unit, every single topic. Teachers can modify these if they'd like. Teachers can print these out. Teachers can push these out through a learning platform, but ultimately that student now has a place to follow along in that lecture and make sure they've got a complete, set of notes so they're ready for that unit test or ready for that topic test, etc. We also include, of course, the notes in there. So if you've got a student who might be on a 504 plan, might have a combination where that student is allowed to have completed notes, you've got them right there. You don't have to do any work. You can print those off. You can hand them to that student and you're good to go. All right, so we've gone through the interactive study guides. We've talked about polling questions. We've talked about PowerPoints. We've also built these really, really fun instructional videos. These are not long, arduous, boring videos. These are exciting videos, and the star of the show are these incredible AP teachers that are engaging, they're interesting for students, and what we've done is we've taken the content that you pushed out through the study guide, that you've reinforced with your polling questions, that you've used in your PowerPoint, and now if a student missed a lesson, if the student needs reinforcement of the lesson, if a student just needs to see the material presented slightly different in a different way, we've got these videos for you. And you can deploy these videos, you can push these videos out to students and they can watch these, they can fill out their guided notes while they're watching them. There's tons of flexibility with these videos, but they're a wonderful extra component to our AP courses. Hey, we're going to add some more here. We've also got instructional activities for teachers. We are really proud of these instructional activities. These are not busy work types of things. These are AP level instructional activities that help reinforce learning for students, help save teachers time because they don't need to build these, and also provides teachers with a really nice way to assess if students are getting this newfound knowledge. Once again, these are downloadable. So if you download an instructional activity and the teacher decides, oh, I want to pull out this question, I want to add this question, we love that. We encourage teachers to do that. We want to make these instructional activities, we want them to make them their own. And so we give them that flexibility to do. They always talk about what unit and topic it goes with, always has some fantastic teachers' instructions, and they are varied. Every single instructional activity is different and unique. And the way we came about these and developed these is working with current AP teachers. Hey, what is the best instructional activities you have? And we work together with them to put these instructional activities together for you. Also, what we have, not only do we have these incredible instructional materials to get students the knowledge they need, build that foundational knowledge, but then we pair it with our incredible Q-Bank. And our Q-Bank questions are AP style questions, AP rigor questions. So these are questions that would appear on the AP exam. So we've stair-stepped things. We started with that study guide. We've moved into the actual lecture. We've guided notes, instructional activity, and now students are ready. They're at that level to determine, can they actually perform on AP style questions? Can you be confident that on that AP exam, they're going to be ready for the rigor of AP questions? What we've done is we've got hundreds of questions and we put them in these nice pre-built activities. So you don't have to go and dig through all of our questions. We set up these pre-built practice sets, and you can deploy these if you're in unit Unit 3, 3.2, you can push out Unit 3.2 practice. So we've tried to make things as easy as possible. But once again, you can modify those. You can take an existing assignment, you can add questions to it, you can take questions away. We've tried to make it super easy for you. Great questions are wonderful, but you better have really, really fantastic explanations. We are big into explanatory feedback. We make sure and pair every single one of our questions with an incredible explanation that helps students learn and fill in gaps. And ultimately, within those explanations, we've got these incredible clickables. So if a student forgets what laissez-faire is, they can get a little quick mini lesson and a reminder of what that particular concept is. This is an example of an AP statistics explanation. In our AP math courses, we also have alternate method for a different explanation, because ultimately you can solve math problems in several different ways. So we have a mainline explanation and then an alternate explanation for students. And in courses like Lit and Lang, where that vocabulary can really trip AP students up, we provide, support, vocabulary support built into our passages, and this is an example of that. And once again, we do provide explanations for all of our AP courses, including AP Lit. So it's great to have an MCQ, multiple choice question bank, super helpful for teachers. But 50% of the test, 50% of the AP test is, of course, free response. So we provide free response questions for our teachers to deploy and push out to students. Here's an example of one. We provide not only the question, but we're going to provide scoring guidelines, and we're also going to provide an exemplar. So teachers can actually see what a perfect scored essay would look like. I'm lucky. I've got this incredible team of AP teachers who are building these free response questions, and they have built these, over time, and we feel really good about them, and we know they're going to help get your students where they need to be before exams. For our AP Lit, AP Lang, and our social studies courses, we also have online free response questions. So students can actually input a free response question, input their essay, and then teachers can go into our platform and grade that essay online. That is a wonderful way to do things. Instead of bringing home 150 essays, they can actually sit down in front of their laptop and knock out and grade with a built-in rubric all of the free response questions that students submitted. So data and reporting. We know data and reporting is exceptionally important to you. So we provide all the reporting you're going to need to dive down at the skill level for students, and you're able to adapt your lessons. You're able to come up with interventions, come up with extensions based on that data. And then, of course, we also build in unit tests. Unit tests are a fantastic way to, when you get to the end of the unit, creating a summative assessment that gives you a really good gauge on, are my students ready for actual AP level questions? So are they ready to tackle, they may have learned that content and they may understand those concepts, but can they apply it in actual AP level questioning? And so we built unit tests as kind of a stop down during the course of the year to do that. So this is great not only for the AP teacher, it's great for the department. The department can sit down and evaluate unit test data. It's also great for multiple campuses in a district to be able to compare that data across the district. All right, just wanted to show off our AP courses for you, give you a chance to take a look at that. And just to reiterate, for expert teachers, we love to provide them with an easy to use platform, cohesive content. The same team works on all this content. We don't outsource things. We work all together to build a really cohesive resource for you. You're going to see those images spiraling throughout the instruction. That's important to us. It's important to you. Question protection. How many times have you experienced your students, just Googling the answer to AP questions? It's a super common thing. I know it's very frustrating to teachers and teacher leaders when you see a student score on something and you just know for sure all he or she did was just Google the answers. You're not going to find that with UWorld content. Our content is not everywhere out there on the web, which is a really nice, satisfying thing, and it helps keep that grade inflation from becoming a real issue. Also, new teachers, we love that their content is easy to find, easy to use. It's aligned to the course. It's aligned to the exam. You got enough going on as an AP teacher. You want to make sure that the content you're using is easy to use and ultimately aligns well to the course and the exam. And of course, we want to be what you use every single day. We don't make your life easier if you can only use lessons here and there. We want to be a comprehensive, option for you, so you don't have to go and find additional resources to supplement. This is a complete thing for you. And ultimately, admin, you guys are important obviously as well, and this gives you a lot of ways to support your teachers. This allows you, some data to support your AP programs, and that obviously is important to us. It's important to your teachers, and it's very important to students. So, key takeaways. We know that AP is challenging. We've talked about the challenges of it. Ultimately, to overcome all these challenges, we want to be a part of the solution for you, and we know that requires high quality resources, and that's what we've built for teachers. Comprehensive, complete, save teachers time, benefits teachers, fills in those gaps that we're seeing, all that sort of thing, and timely data that will ensure that you've got a quality AP program moving forward. So, would love to hear any questions. We'll stop down. I'll stop talking for a little bit, and I will take any questions that you've got. It looks like we've got a couple. Oh. Here's a very, very good one. All right, will your AP psychology course reflect the new changes? Not only did College Board swing some big old changes on us with AP psychology, but they also did it for physics. Physics got some changes as well. Yes, we are an online deal. We update content on the daily basis pretty much. And so we're able to, during the course of the next few months, get ready for teachers in the fall with content that will reflect the new AP psychology course. And we'll adapt our current physics content, Physics 1 content, to make sure we're also in line with the exam. So let's see, we've got another question. Do your materials align with textbooks? That's a very interesting and great question too. Textbooks are an interesting thing right now. Many teachers are not issuing out textbooks, and they're not issuing out textbooks for a variety of reasons. A, those things weigh like a ton, and we don't see kids with lockers often. B, that textbook is probably out of date because we talk about how College Board changes things so often. C, oftentimes that textbook is not written in a way that is easy for students to consume. So getting back to your question, does it align with a textbook? It does, in the sense that that textbook theoretically includes everything you need to know for the course and some extra stuff. Well, we also include everything you need for the course, but not the extra stuff. And we also make sure that we're providing it in a way that is very understandable and easy for students to digest. So we're really proud of our study guides, we call them. They're also known as an ebook, either way, and we feel like they're going to do a lot to help students get that foundational knowledge along with those check for understanding questions to make sure they're ready for your lecture, to support your lecture, to support instruction, and kind of, like I said, stair step it up to the point where you're ready to get those AP questions out to your students and see how they're going to do. Okay, those are my questions. Let me talk about next month's webinar. I am super excited. It is getting ready to be AP testing season. May is right around the corner. So I thought it'd be fun to do a how to support first-time AP students, and that will be on April 25th. I would love for you to join us. We will send out an invite to this. Once again, we'll tape this if you're not able to make it, and maybe you can catch it later. It'll be a really fun, hopefully give you some ideas and ways you can support these first-time AP students, because I know you all have them. Hopefully you love the presentation today. Hopefully you can see all the hard work that we put into things and how much we want to help and support you. If you're interested in a demo or finding out more information, please go to our website. We would love for you to check us out. Thank you so much for joining us today.